Superman and Lois, episode 4, Haywire. It's your boy Icon, and we're going over another episode of DC TV. So this particular episode starts with actually Morgan Edge. So it shows him and his goons. They're like driving through the town or whatever. Something crash landed. It looked like a meteorite. I don't know what it was. They didn't really show it to us, but he's just like, oh, harness it to now. We can begin. So then it cuts to the football game at the boys' high school because both Jonathan and Jordan, they're both on the football team. Morgan Edge actually shows up to the football game because they're about to pass the bill about, like, the mayor and the city, they're about to pass the bill on whether or not Morgan Edge gets full control and ownership over the mines, the coal mines that exist in Smallville. So Morgan Edge, he's there, he's showing face, like talking to people, kissing babies, telling everybody that he's the man that's gonna actually save this town, and everybody's drinking the Kool-Aid. Lois is there, she's just like, yo, there's some bullshit, and she said that, she's gonna write an article that's going to expose Morgan Edge for what he really is. She's like, tomorrow we'll post the article, and then everybody's going to know the truth, and hopefully we can stop him from getting control of these mines. Meanwhile, Clark, he's on the team now, like he's one of the coaches for the football team. He's there, Jonathan is there next to him. Jonathan, he comes off the bench because they already have a quarterback, and the team is kind of losing. They're trying to win the game, and then coach puts Jordan in the game, and he's just like, come on, short stack, I need the ball. We got to get the ball. So, Jordan's really good at like tackling people. So they put Jordan in the game. And he's getting ready, and he's freaking out because he's just like, oh, practice one thing, this is a real game. And his dad was there to calm him down, which is why Clark joined the team to begin with, to kind of reel him in when things like that happen. Lois's dad ends up showing up, and then he was just like, yo, I just came here to talk to Clark and see what was going on. He was like, oh, plus like the boys got a football game, I wanted to see the boys in action. And then Lois like, you ain't never come to my game. And then so he's watching the football game, and then and then when Jordan gets on the field, he's kind of shocked. So when Jordan gets on the field, like the other team, they have the ball. They hike. The quarterback is trying to throw. Jordan knocks two people down, sacks the quarterback into a fumble. He picks up the ball. He starts running down the field, and Jordan makes a touchdown. And then everybody's like going crazy. Clark's going crazy. Everybody's like, oh my God. And then the dad is just like, he's like, hold up. He's just like, yo, he said the boy who pricks his finger playing a game of checkers. He's out here tackling people and knocking people over. He's just like, you got something you want to tell me? And then they tell him that, he may have like enhanced abilities, and then the dad gets upset. He's like, why'd you keep this for me? I'm supposed to be the general. And then she's like, well, these are our kids and we ain't gotta tell you nothing. So he's just like, you know what, I'm gonna stick around. He's like, I'm gonna go get my bag out the car, I'm gonna go upstairs, I'm gonna hang around the boys a little bit and see if I can be some help with this newfound situation with with Jordan's powers. He ends up telling Clark that there's a prisoner, his name is Kilgrave, that he's being transferred from the Metropolis Penitentiary to another like max facility, because he was basically telling Clark, he was like, listen, people noticed that Superman's not in Metropolis anymore. People have noticed that your presence isn't being felt. People notice that you're not, you're not doing as much as you can. And he said every time the government, because the government, they track you. They track everything. They track your movements. They track your schedule. Now that you've broken the schedule and people notice they don't see you flying around anymore, they're kind of getting nervous, so now they want to move their highly classified prisoners to safer locations if you're not going to be around to save them. So he was just like, in an act of good faith, my advice to you is when they transfer Kilgrave to the new facility, you should show up as a sign of good faith to accompany the officials with the transfer. And then, Clark's just like, look, he's like, I'm here for my boys, I'm here for my family. He's like, I'm not going to fly all the way down to Metropolis just so I can escort some prisoner. And he's like, damn it, Clark, they might try to break him out. Like, Inner Gang is on it. they might try to break him out. We're going to need all the help we can get. He's just like, bro, like, I'm trying to be dad right now. He's like, it's not that serious. He's like, yo, call me when it's gangster. And then Clark walks away. So Lois is at the Smallville Gazette. She's talking to her boss. She has the article ready to go. The woman that works for Morgan Edge, the one, like when Lois quit, the one who was like, Morgan Edge is gonna bury you. And, she ends up walking into the newspaper and she's just like, listen, Morgan Edge knows you're gonna publish this article. And then she was just like, she gave Lois her contract, and she's like, this was your contract from the Daily Planet, and if you post that article, we can sue your ass. So I'd think long and hard about doing that before you want to do that. And then she walks away. Her, like, Lois's new boss, she ends up like, she curls up into a ball, and she's just like, we can't do it, Lois, because I don't want to get sued. She's like, we don't even have lawyers. And the Lois looking at her like, you coward ass, man. So she can't publish the article now. because again, she doesn't want to get caught up in like litigation, so she doesn't want to get sued. So then she goes to Clark and she tells Clark, she's like, listen, you're Clark Kent, you're Mr. Smallville, like born and bred. She said, tomorrow at the town meeting, you should go down there and talk to everybody and convince everybody to not sign the mines over to Morgan Edge. Because she said, coming from you, it didn't mean a lot, as far as like the people are concerned. So then Clark's like, all right, cool. He's like, you know what? I'll be there. He's like, I'll go down there. I'll talk to them or whatever. He's ended up playing football with the kids, and there was a real funny moment where, like he's throwing the ball, Jonathan catches the ball, and then he tells Jordan, he's like, yo, go long, Jordan. Like Clark throws the ball, Jordan kind of like fumbles the basketball, and then he trips and falls over, and then Clark's like, and that's why you play defense. He's at practice with them, as the coach is cursing them out over the mistakes that they made during the football game that they won, and while they're at that practice, Clark ends up getting the call from the general because apparently, like he said, Inner Gang tried to break Kilgrave out. They did break Kilgrave out, and now the general's like, "Yo, Clark, we need you because now like this high valued prisoner is about to escape." Right before Clark got the call, to go help out with the Kilgrave situation, there was this one kid on the team, this Asian kid. He's the one who had the cast on his arm, where in the season opener when Jonathan blew up the campfire, he ended up getting caught in the blast and like he broke his arm. So the kid's actually experiencing problems with his arm now, like it's like itching and it's bothering him. He goes into the bathroom, his whole arm starts vibrating, and then he actually just like rips the cast like clean off his arm. Jonathan, he saw the whole, like he saw that the kid was acting weird. So he went to go check on him, and then he saw that the kid was kind of like freaking out, he was kind of like spazzing or whatever, and then like he was in the bathroom like screaming and yelling. So Jonathan, like calls his dad. He's like, yo, dad, like something's wrong with this kid in the bathroom. So when Clark goes to the bathroom to try to see what's wrong, the kid comes out, and then he's just like, yo, I'm fine. And then they said, well, what happened to your cast? And he was just like, oh, I just took the cast off because it was itching me. And I'm just like, bro, like you just can't take the cast off. Like it doesn't work that way. But then, Jonathan told Clark, he was like, listen, he's like, there's actually really something wrong with him. And then that's when Clark got the call from the general talking about how like, Kilgrave escaped and we need your assistance. So Clark is just like, yo, hold up. He's like, yo, I'm gonna go handle this business. He's like, yo, we'll talk about this. I'll be right back. So he flies to go handle the Kilgrave situation. And then while he's trying to handle the Kilgrave situation, Lois is at the town hall meeting waiting for Clark to show up to speak on behalf of Morgan Edge not getting the deed to any of the property. Clark shows up at the Kilgrave site, there's no one there. Like, he flew all the way to Metropolis for nothing. So now he's on his way back, but it's too late because like the town had already passed the bill. They gave Morgan Edge full control of all the mines in Smallville. And now Lois is upset because she couldn't publish the article and she was hoping Clark would show up to speak on her behalf, and he didn't show up either. So now Lois is kind of like upset, because like, she's Lois Lane, so she doesn't like to lose. So she's tight right now. She's mad at the world. And then she bumps into Lana Lane, and then Lana's like, well, why don't you come with me? Let's have a drink and let's talk. Lois bumps into Clark later. Clark tried to apologize. And then she was just like, listen, she was just like, I know you're Superman, and I know that you have a good excuse, and I know you didn't blow me off, but she was just like, this was something that was really important to me, and because this was very important to me, I was hoping you would be there for me, but at the same time, it's like, now I feel guilty because had you been there for me, lives would have got lost. So she's like, look, I know I'm being real selfish right now, I'll probably get over it tomorrow, but right now I'm just about to go have these drinks, and like, I don't want to hear no bullshit, and like, you and I will talk about it later. And she told him, she was like, listen, she said, because of the whole thing with my dad and with the boys and everything, she's like, it just feels like I've been pushed further down on your priority list. And I'm like, yeah, way to give the man a guilt trip. So now he's feeling guilty, and Lois goes off to have drinks with Lana Lane, his ex-girlfriend. The general, he ends up, on his way to the office to go handle some business, and then he bumps into the boys, and then he tells the boys, he's like, listen, I didn't want you guys to know that your dad was Superman. You guys know your dad is Superman. But now that you know that he's Superman, you guys got to be responsible with the situation. She's like, he's like, your dad's out here like doing things. He's saving the world. He's saving lives. You guys can't be out here calling him all the time for like the littlest things. He was like, he's your dad, obviously. Like, if you need help, call your dad. But he was like, make sure when you call your dad, it's for something like really, really important because, again, like you just can't be out here just like pulling Superman out of the fire because like you got in some silly like school-eyed drama. So he's just like, all right, cool. He gets in the car and he leaves. The boys remember that. So now they end up going to, I guess like some house party. It's like there's underage drinking and drugs and everything going on. The Lana girl, Sarah, she's with them. The two of them are at the party. Jonathan basically went to the party so he can go check on the kid because he knew that there was something wrong with the kid. When, like during the party, the kid was drinking beer and then all of a sudden he just started like shaking and spazzing out. His whole body bodies start shaking. He freaks out. He goes outside. Jonathan and Jordan go after him. They see the kid on the floor, like vibrating and like screaming. He's like in the woods now. Jonathan tries to help him. Jordan tries to help him. They can't help him. Jordan actually tried to like use his minor strength to calm him down, and it didn't work because he doesn't have like the power he needs to calm him down. Jordan ended up getting knocked back trying to help this kid, so Jordan's down, like his, he hit his head or whatever. Jonathan's freaking out because he ain't got no damn powers. So Jonathan's like, you know what? Screw it. He takes the device that he calls his dad. The general ended up calling Superman again because he was like, yo, we found Kilgrave. We need you to go check it out. Superman shows up. He shows up to fight Kilgrave. Kilgrave has this device that amplifies like sound because he was just like, oh, I noticed that you haven't been in Metropolis, and he was like, I knew I would get moved to a new facility, so I made this plan to draw you out of hiding, to kill you. So he's blasting Clark with this machine, this soundwave machine, because since he has super hearing, it's affecting him like really badly. Clark can't get up. He's like struggling to get up. At that moment, he hears his son calling out to him because remember his son pressed the button, and he was just like, yo, Dad, we need your help. So Clark finds the strength. Clark ends up thunderclapping Kilgrave. Kilgrave falls over. He melts the device. He knocks him out. He tells the general, he's like, yo, come pick up this trash. I'm about to go save my boys. You heard? He flies into action, and as the kid is like going into convulsions, Superman shows up, takes the kid, flies him up into the atmosphere. So the lack of air will make him pass out. The kid calmed down, and then they brought him. I guess to the doctor. they brought him home. So the whole family's at the house now, and the general said that, hey, he said that it wasn't Jordan's fault that the kid ended up with powers because Jordan thought his heat vision was the reason why the kid got powers. But the general was like, no, he said that there was another element that was there at the party that day. And whatever that element was, it awakened the metahuman abilities that were inside this kid. So he was like, it had nothing to do with you, but this kid's at our facility now. We're running tests on him. We're trying to figure out what it is. And then Clark is just like, so what took y'all so long to call me with the device? And then they're like, well, Grandpa said don't call you unless it was absolutely necessary. So then like Clark and Lois get into an argument with the general. They're just like, yo, don't tell me, I'm not supposed to be there for my kids. And he's like, the world is at stake. We ain't got time for the bullshit. And then Lois is like, yo, get out of my house, Dad. She's like, you're not welcome. And then he get mad and he leave. And the general's kind of mad now because his whole thing is he sees the shift in Clark. He sees that Clark is kind of choosing being a dad over prioritizing saving the world. And that's not going to fly with the general. So, the general, he goes back to the office. And remember a couple of episodes back, Captain Luthor had given him those dog tags that had like, those symbols or those letters on it. And he told him, he was like, listen, don't let this Clark, destroy the world. And because his priorities are shifting now, the general's kind of in a spot where maybe Captain Luthor was right. Maybe we can't really trust Clark because something is weird going on with him. So he tells his people, he's like, listen, just to be on the safe side, let's come up with a contingency plan for Superman just in case something happens. He's like, we'll call it Project Hell, whatever the thing said on the back of the tags. He's like, let's call it Project Hell so we can try to figure this whole thing out. And then after that, Clark, he apologized to Lois for ditching her at the town meeting. Lois, she was just like, my bad too. She's like, I didn't mean to scream at you, but she was like, I need to investigate Morgan Edge because, I know that there's really something going on here. And, the two of them was like, well, I got your back no matter what happens. And then at that moment, the general called Clark again. And then Lois was just like, go ahead, save the world. She's like, I'm gonna be right here, when you get back. And that was it for that, and that was nice. So now we go to Morgan Edge because since Morgan Edge won the town hall meeting and he now has access to all the mines and everything, they take you to him and his female minion, his female companion, whatever she is, and they're digging into one of the mines that he now owns. As they're digging into the mine, she busts, he was just like, oh, you need to hit right here. So she punches a hole in the wall because the girl got super strength. Because remember, she killed that dude in the last episode. And then they look inside the hole, and he said that the whole thing is full of X-kryptonite. And he said that, now that we have all of this X-kryptonite, we can come up with some test subjects, because apparently X-kryptonite gives people, whereas like regular kryptonite, like green kryptonite, it takes away Superman's powers. X-kryptonite apparently gives people superpowers. So the guy that was in the hotel in the last one, the guy that had the super strength, the girl that Morgan Edge is with, she had like super strength and she has laser beam eyes, so the X-kryptonite is apparently giving these people superpowers. And then, Morgan Edge was like, now that we own, because again, he owns the mines now. So he's like, now that we own the X-kryptonite, we can find some test subjects, so we can do experiments on, so we can start coming up with an army, like a super strong army, so we can take down Superman and we can control the world. Ha 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 ha. And And that was it. It's interesting because I want to see if the whole thing with the X Kryptonite. I feel like Morgan Edge's situation with the X Kryptonite, Captain Luthor, and the General. I feel like the three of them are going to be linked together at some point, where it's like Captain Luthor is going to be like, hey, I need to kill Superman. The General's going to be like, I need a Superman contingency. And then Morgan Edge is going to be like, hey, I got that X Kryptonite, so like that'll be plan B. And it's going to be those three people coming together to take down Superman. And then, but I mean, I don't know, the General, he's still family, so we'll see. He might, like at the end of the season, the general probably will find out what X Kryptonite does, and then he'll end up keeping some for himself. And then season 2 is going to be about the General trying to build a superpower army of his own, just in case Superman goes rogue, because he already said he has a facility full of people that have just developed superpowers, like a metahuman school or whatever for people with powers. So he already has the damn facility. So don't think the General's not going to try to get his hands on that X Kryptonite. Like I said, and that was it. Whether or not Lois gets to expose Morgan Edge, only time will tell. And Captain Luthor is supposed to be back in the next episode, coming for Clark's ass. So thank you for tuning in. Let me know what you think about the X Kryptonite. What you think's going to happen. Let me know what you think about the situation with Jonathan. How long before Jonathan actually ends up getting some powers as well. What happens with Jordan. And like I said, we'll pull it together. We'll talk about it. Check out the Tacos and Geek podcast. New episode from the Tacos and Geek podcast is live on their YouTube channel. I will post the link to that podcast in my description below. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter. Definitely leave a comment for this episode of Superman and for all my DC TV shows, because we're doing everything. And we got the Snyder Cut coming up, and then we're doing Falcon, Winter Soldier, still doing Black Lightning, still doing Batwoman, still doing The Flash. So that's it, guys. Take care. And for Superman, up and away, I'm out this bitch.